And away we go. 33 thrusters, 33 chest to bar pull-ups. Kick it off.
And this is the difference between what makes these athletes great and just the rest of us working out, right? Not only are these athletes with this thruster moving quickly through the initial portion, getting the bar up, but they're literally pulling the bar down back into their rack to increase their cycle time. And that's the difference between, you know, being one of the elite in the sport and the rest of us just trying to go unbroken.
30 seconds of non-stop thrusters for both Toomey and Fraser, as we will wait for judges' hands to go up, which will indicate 5 reps remaining. It was about 1 minute to get through 33 for both Castro and Schmidt in heat number 1.
You think they're getting used to training together? They both took a break at about the exact same time. Both took the same rest and then hopped right back on the bar. It looks like they're both going to finish this first run of thrusters about the same time, too.
57 seconds for Toomey, 59 seconds for Fraser. Both under a minute for the set of 33 and onto the chest to bar pull-ups.
And I mentioned earlier this first strategic break for both the thrusters and the chest to bar pull-ups in this round of 33 is really what's going to set them up for success in these later rounds. 21-15-9 is typically a rep scheme they could go unbroken with, so really making sure that they take enough breaks, or as little breaks as possible, to still go unbroken during that portion once they get about, 50 plus thrusters and pull-ups into the workout.
Now for those curious, 9:56, the unofficial fastest time here in our first heat by Brenda Castro. In Ireland, they've had another one of these announcements, and Travis Williams unofficially in at 8:40, which I'm going to assume at this point is the fastest time in the world thus far.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's the fastest time so far, but I think we're about to see 2 faster times from both of these athletes based on what they've done in the past. I mentioned that last year, 18.5 was pretty similar in terms of, what we might see in terms of time domain with 7 minutes to get as much work done. 18.5 for Tia-Clair Toomey. She got 186 reps. There's 210 in this workout, so she could be in that 7 to 8 minute range. Matt Fraser had the world's best performance in 18.5. He had 198 reps in 7 minutes of these 2 movements, so wouldn't be surprised if maybe he dialed it up a little bit more and got 210 in around 7 minutes.
Tia-Clair Toomey had a 3-second advantage out of the round of 33 onto the round of 27. And believe it or not, first open announcement show for Tia-Clair Toomey.
In the past, we weren't really able to get the Australian athletes out to open announcements just because of geography, right? The turnaround for them was pretty rough. It's a long way to go. Now with this new system, and obviously Tia being able to move to the United States to change her scenery a little bit, we get to see her throw down an open announcement for the first time.
Both Toomey and Fraser onto the pull-up bar for the set of 27 chest to bar pull-ups. 249 to this point for Toomey, 253 to this point for Fraser.
We talked a little bit about we saw earlier during the commercial break, their kind of competitive banter. Well, I know in speaking with them earlier, I think last week, just to maybe test out possibilities for what they might do, they did something similar to 18.5, just thinking that something like this might come up between them. And apparently Fraser put the hurting on Tia in that workout, so they were pretty amped to kind of have another go at it potentially here tonight.
Do you mean people were thinking thrusters and chest to bar pull-ups were coming? No.
I mean, by process of elimination,
3:38 and 3:39 the times out of the round of 27 for Toomey and Fraser as they begin Fran with chest to bar pull-ups instead. 21:15-9 underway. And obviously they've never competed against each other officially when it comes to these type of events, but they've done thrusters in the open 6 times each. And in those 6 occasions, Matt Fraser had the better score all 6 times, which might tell us something going forward. But to this point, it's actually been Tia-Clair Toomey leading the way since the start.
I'm going to go on record and saying that Matt Fraser is probably the best person at thrusters in the world, and his track record, kind of proves that. But one thing about Tia-Clair Toomey is that when the lights are the brightest and you show up to the big stage, she performs. She's a gamer. You can see it in her face, and she mentions it every time she talks about throwing down with Matt, that once the chips are down, she just finds another gear.
And Matt Fraser for the first time out in front. 4:37 to get through the 21 thrusters onto the 21 chest to bar pull-ups. 2 seconds clear of the two-time fittest woman on earth. And it's still amazing to think about how much of a carbon copy these two are. The first 4 years they've competed at the games, second, first. Matt Fraser's 5th year, another first place, but they have been almost identical in their paths.
And now they have the benefit of having one another as training partners. And now we're kind of getting into our first look in terms of live competition, what that looks like in terms of them helping each other get better for the upcoming season.
And Fraser has opened up a lead here into the round of 15. He gets through the round of 21 at 5 minutes and 20 seconds. It's 5:38 for Tia-Clair Toomey, and suddenly it's an 18-second lead for the 3-time fittest man on earth. Quick work on the 15 thrusters of that 95-pound bar. And Fraser back onto the pull-up bar. One thing we haven't mentioned, by the way, time cap on this is 20 minutes. It just has not been anywhere near a factor for anybody, but keep that in mind for your own attempts at this glorious workout to close the open.
It's certainly not a factor for the elite in this sport, but for the rest of us, it's almost kind of Dave Castro patting us on the back and saying, that'll do. That's enough.
6:19 into the final round for Matt Fraser. 6:22 closing out the 15 thrusters for Toomey. Well, Travis Williams, time of 8:40, is not going to last a whole lot longer for the #1 spot in the world. 2 minutes to get through 9 reps for Matt Fraser to top that.
I'm going to say he's going to go ahead and beat that.
Well, you threw it out there. Sub-7 is possible for Matt Fraser. Sub-7 is going to happen for Matt Fraser. 6:53, game on to 300,000 around the world. Tia-Clair Toomey onto the round of 9.
This is what I was talking about, how it's very hard to replicate this atmosphere in training, so we tend to see some athletes perform really, really well relative to what they might do in the gym. Especially in this instant, you have the entire crowd here cheering you on, counting you through those reps. It's hard not to get a bit of an adrenaline rush.
Got your training partner yelling at you. That the same here as it would be at Mayhem for Tia as she's closing out the round of 9. .748 for Tia-Clair Toomey. 55 seconds behind Matt Fraser, but over 2 minutes quicker than the prior fastest female time that we've had, at least documented thus far, which was Brenda Castro in our first heat at 9:56. So it's Tia-Clair Toomey, unofficially 7:48. Matt Fraser just throwing down the gauntlet at 6:53.